Hey there, cool cats and kittens. Remember Cartoon Network? It was the best, right? Back in the good old days of 1992, this awesome channel burst onto our screens. It was the brainchild of Ted Turner, the same guy who brought us CNN. Cartoon Network was all about cartoons, 24/7. We're talking classic Hanna-Barbera stuff like Yogi Bear and Scooby-Doo. Remember those? Good times, man. The channel was a huge hit, especially with us kids. I mean, who didn't love parking themselves in front of the TV for hours on end, watching Bugs Bunny outsmart Elmer Fudd? But things change, as they always do. Let's dive into what happened to our beloved Cartoon Network. The 90s were a golden age for Cartoon Network, a time when creativity and innovation were at their peak. They started making their own shows, and let me tell you, they were awesome. We're talking Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, the Powerpuff Girls. Each show had its own unique charm and style, captivating audiences of all ages. The list goes on and on. From the quirky adventures of Ed, Edd and Eddy to the superhero antics of the Powerpuff Girls, there was something for everyone. These shows weren't just for kids. Adults found themselves equally entertained, often catching themselves laughing out loud. They were clever, funny, and had a certain edge to them. The humor was sharp, the stories were engaging, and the characters were unforgettable. I mean, who can forget Dexter's Russian accent and Johnny Bravo's hilarious attempts to pick up chicks? These moments became iconic. These shows became part of our cultural DNA. We quoted them, we wore the t-shirts, and we even collected the toys. We even sang along to the theme songs. The catchy tunes were impossible to resist. Those were the days, my friends, a time of pure, unadulterated joy and creativity. But like a delicious plate of nachos that disappears too quickly, the good times wouldn't last forever. The golden age eventually came to an end, leaving us with cherished memories. As the 2000s rolled around, things started to change for Cartoon Network. The golden era of the 90s was fading, and a new, uncertain chapter was beginning. The competition got fiercer. Nickelodeon had SpongeBob, a cultural phenomenon that captivated audiences of all ages. Disney Channel had Hannah Montana, a show that became a massive hit, drawing in millions of viewers and creating a pop culture icon. And Cartoon Network was struggling to keep up. Their once dominant position in the animation world was being challenged. They started airing more live-action shows and reality TV, which, let's be honest, wasn't what we signed up for. Fans were confused and disappointed. Remember Out of Jimmy's Head or Destroy, Build, Destroy? These shows were attempts to diversify, but they missed the mark. Yeah, not exactly Emmy-worthy material. The charm and creativity that defined Cartoon Network seemed to be slipping away. Don't get me wrong, some of their new animated shows like Adventure Time and Regular Show were pretty awesome. They brought a fresh, quirky energy, but they just didn't have the same magic as the classics. The nostalgia for shows like Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls was strong. The ratings started to dip, and the writing was on the wall. The network was losing its core audience. Change was coming, and it wasn't going to be pretty. The future of Cartoon Network was uncertain, and fans were left wondering what would come next. Section 4. The End of an Era. On October 10, 2023, the news hit us like a ton of bricks. Warner Bros. Discovery, Cartoon Network's parent company, was shutting down the channel. Well, not exactly shutting it down, but merging it with Discovery Family to create a new channel. The reason? Money, of course. Warner Bros. Discovery was in debt and they needed to cut costs. What better way to do that than to merge two channels into one? It was a sad day for those of us who grew up with Cartoon Network. It was like saying goodbye to a part of our childhood. Section 5. Cartoon Network's Legacy. Even though Cartoon Network as we knew it is gone, its legacy lives on. Those classic shows we loved are still out there, available on streaming services and DVD box sets. And let's not forget the impact Cartoon Network had on animation. They took chances, pushed boundaries, and created some of the most iconic and beloved cartoons of all time. So, while we may mourn the loss of Cartoon Network, let's also celebrate its incredible run. It was a wild, wacky, and unforgettable ride. Section 6. What's next for Cartoon Network? So what does the future hold for Cartoon Network? It's a question on everyone's mind. Well, it's hard to say for sure. The landscape of television is changing rapidly. The new channel, which will reportedly be called Max, will feature a mix of cartoons and live-action programming. This blend aims to capture a wider audience. Will it be any good? Only time will tell. The success of Max will depend on its ability to innovate while respecting the legacy of Cartoon Network. But one thing's for sure, nothing will ever replace the original Cartoon Network. It was a unique era that defined a generation. It was a product of its time, a golden age of animation, and we were lucky to be a part of it. Those shows were more than just entertainment, they were a cultural phenomenon. And hey, if you're feeling nostalgic, you can always fire up your favorite streaming service and dive back into those classic episodes and relive those glory days. There's something magical about revisiting those old shows. Just don't blame me if you get sucked in for hours on end. Those cartoons are addictive. They have a timeless charm that keeps you hooked. Alright folks, that's all I've got for you today. Keep it real and stay tuned. The future may be uncertain, but the memories are forever.